Get all those things signed. That'll be really awesome. All right, I'm gonna take another little peek ski back here into the wings. Yeah, we got a thumbs up? We got a thumbs up. I guess it's time to get this panel started. Are you ready? All right, introducing first, please. Nice big round of sound, a warm welcome. The voice of Makima. Make some noise for Susie Young. Make some noise for the voice of Power, Sarah Weedcamp! The voice of Aki, make some noise for Reagan Murdoch! And the voice of Denji, Chainsaw Man, make some noise for Ryan Colt Levy! One more time for the cast of Chainsaw Man.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, I was not expecting to be called that.
You know, I didn't know what order I wanted to do it in, but I couldn't see where you were back there, so I did my best. You hustled to get up
We
here.
can't just start this without us saying hi to each other, but
I know.
we
What is this? You know him too?
It's the wolf pack. It's the wolf pack.
It's so sweet.
No, it's good to see you all again. It really is. We've had a chance to speak at length in the past, but it's always nice to get to see how you guys are doing, catch up with you. So why don't we start there? How have you been since the last time we've seen each other, Susie?
Tired. I got in at 3 a.m. this morning.
Ooh.
I'm a little bit loopy.
Yeah, where are you coming from? And yeah, tell please.
Oh, somebody gave away my plane ticket and then locked me out, so I was like, oh, I guess I'm coming here later.
Wow. So
Hey, I'm here now. Hello.
we're happy to have you. Thanks for coming out.
Thank you.
All right, Sarah, what have you been up to?
Oh, no good.
No good.
Yeah.
Sometimes it was more fun that way.
We knew. We've been new.
yeah.
We've been knowing.
But I'm doing great. Got some boba tea. That's usually my thing. I try to find it in a convention. Normally it's somewhere. I
That's a
found
good
out
lead.
That I have a skill.
Normally it's somewhere.
I have a certain set of skills.
Fine
I
boba.
can smell boba tea. Remember the last convention? I literally stopped and I was like, I smell boba. And I'm like, you know, like the wolf cartoon, like with the pie smell? I started like being wafted off and like took like crazy turns and I found a maid cafe. I'm like, they're closed. But I know where you are.
Top 10 anime betrayals.
Number 3 will surprise you.
That's your origin story. Your villain origin story is the boba tea was closed. Reagan, how you been?
I've been great. I've been a blind samurai for a little while. That was awesome. Yeah, that was a.
Blind
Oh,
samurai.
yeah.
Okay.
Hell's Paradise. That was a. Yeah. How about Alejandro and Marissa? They are doing amazing. That's about it.
Alrighty then. And last but not least, Ryan. What's up, man? Wolfpack in the building.
Man, it's good to see you. It's so good to see all of you guys. Oh my gosh, you are a beautiful audience. And I've gotten to interact with a bunch of you guys over the last 2 days. My heart is so full. I'm really freaking good. I've been doing a bunch of really cool projects lately. Been traveling a bunch, getting to meet so many of you. Working on a comic book with a buddy of mine. I am not an artist. I do not have that skill, but I'm writing one with a friend that we've been working on for a while. And every time I get little gaps from traveling and stuff, we hack away at it. And eventually, I'm really excited to share that with you guys because I've never created a story and put it out in the world before. I'm super nervous and full of anxiety, but I'm also having a blast with it. So that's what's new.
We look forward to seeing that. That's amazing. It's always great when you get to create and with your friends to create something from your heart. I mean, is this something that you came up with on your own, or where's the concept of this?
It's an idea that I came up with because I'm a big comic book nerd, and I came up with it at this point almost 5 or 6 years ago, and I started to work on it then, but I was still a musician at that point. This was before I was voice acting, and it sounds like I'm like a crazy person, right? I was like, then I was in the circus, and you know, so many different.
Again, we already knew this about you, Ryan.
That's fair. That's fair.
Done you.
yeah, so I had this idea, I worked on it for a bit, and then I just felt like I didn't know the craft well enough to give it what it needed, so I kind of put it on a shelf and allowed myself to study more, you know, whether it's writing comics, the craft of storytelling, all those different things. And then in the pandemic, I ended up doing this really cool, like, online Zoom roleplay thing, like a one-shot kind of thing. And I've never done any kind of D&D stuff, so it was just super fun to get to, like, play. And, yeah. And the guy who DM'd it and put it all together is this incredible writer. And we ended up just kind of becoming good buddies, and eventually I needed something to like pull me out of the craziness, and it did. And I kind of said to myself, which you never do because actors never get to choose what they audition for, I would love to read for Denji because this is the first time I've ever connected with something like that. This is like my dream role. And then about a year later, the anime gets announced, and everyone in the world suddenly wants to be a part of it. I'm like, well, there's no way I'm even going to be remotely considered. And in August of last year, I went to another convention where I was a guest for some smaller stuff. Nobody really knew who I was. It was really nice and chill. And some people would come up to my table and be like, "Did you draw these?" And I was like, "I wish." And they flew in a bunch of people from MAPPA to have a panel about the season that was about to drop. And at this point, it was like 2 months away from coming out. So I was so sure it was already being recorded, the dub was probably done, and they were like gonna announce everybody soon. And that was the day the auditions went out. So I opened it up and I see that the sides for Denji are like, immediately I know what page they're from. Because I've read this thing so many times over because I am a total nerd for it. And I just figured this is my one chance to play him regardless of getting the opportunity otherwise. I get to sit in this for 5 minutes. So I gave him my heart, and it's the way that I always kind of heard him and felt him as I read it. And then 2 weeks later I got a call back, and then after that I got an actual text from our voice director, Mike McFarlane, and he's like, "Hey dude, do you have a second to talk?" I was like, "Yeah, man." And then he starts immediately calling me, and I'm like, "Well, that's weird." So I pick up and I'm like, "Hey dude, what's going on?" He's like, "Hey man," and Mike can be very like chill and unassuming. So he's like, "Hey, yeah, you know, just doing really well." And he comes to visit Los Angeles every now and then. So I thought, oh, maybe he's just happens to be in town and wants to get coffee or something. And he's like, "Yeah, you know, I'm doing all this stuff. I just want to do all these crazy auditions, and yeah, I'm going to be directing Chainsaw Man." And I'm like, "Dude, that's so cool! Oh my god!" Freaking out. Not processing that he shouldn't be telling me this if I'm not working on it. So I'm like, just kind of letting him talk, and I'm just hyped for him. I'm like, "My buddy's doing this, and he's the perfect choice, he's gonna kill it." Why is he telling me this? And my chest is getting tighter and tighter and tighter, and I'm like, thankfully I was in my apartment, so I'm like, "Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, totally." And he's like, "Yeah," so, and he can feel me, like, not being able to process any of this.
I'm like,
How does what? Yeah, exactly. Just total, just nothing ring. And he's like, "Yeah, so, you know, you're gonna be our Denji." And I just kind of went into this, like, fog. Like, everything just went blank. I didn't know what to think or feel, and my brain exploded. And I may have dropped to my knees, I don't remember for sure. And thanked him profusely. He told me who else was going to be in the cast, and I could not have been happier. And then I called my mom.
As you should, absolutely. What a wonderful story of success.
I might as well read a little bit of the manga, and if I get context for these lines, maybe that'll make them pop a little bit better, and I feel be better considered. So I start reading it, and then I start reading some more, and then I keep reading, and I'm devouring it, and it gets to the part where, spoilers, when Himeno and Aki are going out on patrol for the first time. Himeno gets slapped, and then Aki sticks gum on the girl's clothes, and that was the moment I was like, "Oh, I need to be that boy," because he is as vindictive and cringy as I am. So yeah, I also actually got a call back for Denji, which I was very surprised about. But then, a couple weeks later, I got an email from Mike. It was in the middle of a shift at my day job. And so he's like, hey, I have a casting opportunity for you. And I'm like, okay, great, because I'd only worked with him like very briefly doing bit parts in One Piece. And I was like, maybe there's something in One Piece coming up that he wants to do for? A second piece, yeah. And so I, find time at, a little break time at, work, and I go to a corner, and he calls me, and he's like, hey, so just wanted to let you know that I'm going to be directing this show, Chainsaw Man. I'm like, yeah, okay. I'm pretty sure you could hear me vibrating like through the phone.
At this point, he was used to it.
At this point, he's used to it, yeah. Unfortunately, he didn't tell me who else was in the cast, but he did tell me that we would like you to be our Aki, and I'm like, great, that sounds awesome. Yeah. So of course I try to stay as calm as I possibly can during the call, because you don't want to sound too much like a fanboy when you're talking to one of the great directors of the anime English dubs of all time. But as soon as the call was over, I walked straight out to my car. I looked to make sure nobody's looking, and I started screaming at the top of my lungs. I believe my exact words were, "Yeah, I'm gonna be in Chainsaw Man, baby."
That's a perfect quote for a t-shirt.
And then about, what, a day later?
It was a couple days later, yeah, because I was, they, after, we were told who we were cast as, they were told us they wanted us to be at New York Comic Con for the premiere, and that scared the absolute bejesus out of me. I was terrified, because I am a very homebody, introverted, and not goes outside a lot person. But then I was able to get away for a weekend with my grandpa, spend some time with him. That was, thankfully, it was already planned at that time. And then I get a Twitter DM from this guy in the middle of it, and it's just a bunch of clap emojis. And I'm just like, does he know?
So for those who don't know, whenever you book a project in any form of entertainment, but especially with what we do, there's something called an NDA, which is a non-disclosure agreement, which means until you're allowed to talk about the thing, you do not talk about the thing. And it can mean you get fired, it can mean all kinds of things before you even start. So he's terrified because he has no idea what he should or shouldn't say in this DM. And he's like, what did you like?
Oh, I was just as vague as possible. Just thank you very much. Yeah, da 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 da. But and thank you for choosing Chick-fil-A. Whatever. And so, pay attention. Pay attention. The nearest exit may be behind you. He's just like, He's just waiting for me to put the pieces together. And then I was just like, wait a minute, how do you know? Wait, that can only mean one thing, oh my God, dude! I started freaking out. So, took it very well.
And there it is, the origin story of Aki. All right, let's talk about you, Sarah. Let's talk about
Chainsaw Man. So when I first heard that name, I thought it was an isekai, and I wasn't sure how to feel about it. But so then
Fell asleep and woke up as a chainsaw in the Home Depot.
Yeah! Like, give me a number, like what? My partner has like the whole collection, so I was skimming through, trying to find Makima Power for the auditions. I was like, Makima's not gonna happen, but I'm still gonna give it a try because they just don't normally have me go for the cool, collective, sexy. And it's alright, I'm okay with that.
It's getting hot in here. What's going on?
Look at the caffeine.
Take a sip of the boba.
What are they putting in this boba? I didn't really read the manga, and I found bits and pieces of like where power showed up. Turns out like it's really hard to world build with just that little information. So, but the parts that I saw her in, I was like, she seems really crazy. And if you heard my audition, you probably would be like, oh my God. Because if you can believe it, I read her even more chaotic than she is. It was like sporadic. I was just like, I hate humans. And I hate Dallas too! I was like, I don't know, let's go all over the place.
All the levels.
Who knows? And I think that was like probably one of the first auditions where I did several takes on it too, because I wasn't sure where to go with her. And then I listened to the trailer, I'm like, okay, I'm doing all right, just put it out there. I don't want to see it again. I can't spend any more time on this. And I wasn't expecting anything because like I knew like thousands of people were going to be auditioning for this, both LA and Dallas, and I'm like, all right, well, we'll see what happens with that. And then I ended up having a one-piece session with Mike. I live in Dallas, so I go straight into Crunchyroll. And he's like, we have a little time to talk after we're done. I'm like, okay. And then we go, I'm like, okay, goodbye. He's like, oh, well, I got reserved as a conference room. I was like, what? What? And we start walking down the hallway, and it's like really, really excruciatingly long of a hallway. And I'm like, what did I do? What did I say? Did I do something to upset him? He got a conference room to talk to me about something. Oh my god, how can I have fun? Oh no. And we go in, this is literally the smallest conference room they
It's a
have
broom
there.
closet.
There's
He's like,
it's like 2 people can fit in there, and I'm literally like, I come in and there's like a chair just there. I'm like,
is that mine? Yeah.
and he like turns around and he like keeps even sit. He goes like, so this doesn't leave this room.
Oh my god, he
I
does
was
it
like,
that way?
what did I do? He's like, you are Power Chainsaw Man. I was like, really? He's serious? He's like, yeah.
Such a
Yes,
Mike
you
response.
are. I was like, can I hear who the rest is? Who's the rest of the cast? He's like, I only tell it to people who ask. And then he tells me, I was like, no way. Oh, I was so excited. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. I'm so excited. Okay, cool. And then we leave, and I go down that excruciatingly long hallway, and I'm like, picking up my step a little bit. And I get to the elevator. No one's in there. I'm like, the door's closed. I'm Power! And the door's open.
Dig the door again, yeah.
I'm sure they have the footage.
I
of
hope they have
somewhere.
that footage somewhere.
That's an amazing story. Amazing.
Quick fun little tidbit. So when we were recording the dub for the trailer, we still hadn't been announced yet. And so to keep the secret safe in Crunchyroll, so Mike had, so in the script, there's always, the character names and the actor names next to it. And so instead of our names, he put none of your business.
I was business. It's like, and I reported to the group after I did it, like, I took care of business.
Little
They were
inside.
like, what?
The ones who got it. That message.
Real ones do.
All right, Susie, let's talk about.
Oh yeah, I'll try to keep this brief since I want to get through.
Yes, we want to get some questions, but let's talk about Makima.
Yeah, I mean, basically, I didn't really know about Chainsaw Man prior, but I had seen a ton of fan art on Twitter, especially of Makima and Power. So it's like, they seem very popular. Okay. So when I got the signs, I was like, oh, it's them. And interestingly enough, I spent more time on Power's audition. Because I was like, this seems more like a tough nut to crack.
More correct.
Whereas with Makima, I actually did just 2 takes, and that was it. And I didn't think about it any further because I was like, I don't know, just like everybody else, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to get in. There's like thousands of auditions. I'm just going to set it and forget. I'm not going to really think about it.
Wow, that really is a power move, though. You only did it in 2 takes. And they were like, ooh.
Well, because I was like, this is what I can interpret from the character, and if he likes it, then he likes it. So fast forward to I don't know how much longer later, but Mike DMs me on Twitter, and he never DMs me on Twitter, so I'm like, this can only mean one thing. And he's like, hey, can I give you a call? I was like, this can only mean one thing. It also only mean one thing. I was like, the news that I'm Makima. And I was like trying to like keep in control and everything. I was like, obviously, just as nervous as you guys were. So I was like, yeah, cool. Who's the rest of the cast? Just curious. And he told me, and I was so happy. It was like the three of you, and I love you guys.
No, it's true. You guys have such a great chemistry together. It really works, and you can tell that like the friendships are real. And I bet that adds to the characters and how, you know what I mean? The chemistry between you guys definitely adds to the way it portrays it on screen.
When you know that everyone else cares as much and is also looking out for you as much as they are themselves, like nobody in this cast, even in the rest of the cast, is like selfishly trying to be like, this is my time to shine. It is so much about how do we lift each other up in the scenes and outside of the work and just be there for each other. It's truly the best crew and project all around experience I've ever had. So it's a dream come true.
I honestly think because like everyone understands how big this is, like everyone understood. They're like, I'm gonna give this 150% because this is
To the thing, not for us.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
I put in 5,000.
Well,
Recording those, and how many times did it take you to film it?
I love doing those scenes. There's something, I mean, it kind of goes back to what I was saying. There's a real trust fall with the people that we get to share this with, where like, this job, no matter what, in order to do it to the best of your ability, you have to be vulnerable. You have to be open to be ugly and silly and crazy looking in front of total strangers sometimes. And thankfully with this, it's like being with family, so it's easier to really just kind of like let all that out. And there's something really fun about tapping into like these really like intimate, personal experiences
like happening
that so many people have understandings of in their own way. And I think there's something important about connecting with characters in that way so that you understand it's not just an individual's experience, that so many of us feel similar things. In a weird way, it helps kind of bring us all